My ex used my money to pay for her vacation, then dumped me for someone richer, and I reclaimed everything she thought she owned. I'm a 27-year-old guy, and I always believed that when you love someone, you show it by taking care of them. Rachel and I met during our second year of college. She was smart, magnetic, and had this way of making every room bend around her presence. From the start, I knew she liked nice things, designer handbags, rooftop brunches, 5-star aesthetics, but I didn't mind. I came from a modest background, raised to value hard work and commitment. So when she said she wanted to quit her part-time job to focus on her future, I didn't hesitate. I picked up extra shifts and told her I'd cover us until she figured it out. At the time, it felt like love. Like I was building something with someone I truly cared about. We moved in together after graduation, and I worked 2 jobs, one in IT during the day, and freelance gigs at night. Rent, utilities, food, gas, even her subscriptions, I paid for it all. And Rachel? She said she was working on branding herself for bigger career goals, though most days she lounged on the couch scrolling her phone or out with friends I never met. "Babe, do you ever think we're plateauing?" she asked one night as she scrolled through Instagram. "Look at what Mandy's boyfriend got her for their anniversary. A Cartier watch." She held the phone in my face, smirking. "Not saying I want that, but isn't it wild how far some couples are going these days?" I laughed it off, saying, "One day, I'll outdo them all. Just wait." And I meant it. I genuinely thought my effort would be enough, that one day she'd look at everything I gave and feel proud of me. But deep down, I started noticing the shift, like maybe I was the only one planning a future we weren't actually sharing. And then came the first real crack. Rachel always had these big ideas, dream boards, Pinterest aesthetics, late-night monologues about living her best life. I encouraged her. I thought that was love, too. So when she brought up the idea of a week-long vacation to Tulum with her girlfriends, I didn't flinch. I figured we'd plan it together, maybe turn it into a couple's getaway. But instead, she said, "I think I need this solo. Or, just the girls. No offense, babe, but I need a break from everything. Clear my head, you know?" I blinked. "Wait, you want to go without me?" She kissed my cheek. "Don't make it weird. I just need sun, sea, and no stress. You work too much anyway." I didn't argue. I just smiled and nodded, even though a small part of me felt like I was funding a life I wasn't even invited to enjoy. She didn't have any savings, so I covered everything: flight, hotel, spending cash, even got her new luggage because she said hers was too basic. I skipped upgrading my laptop, canceled my dentist appointment, and dipped into what I'd been saving for our future trip to Europe. The night before she left, I helped her pack while she casually FaceTimed her friend. "Yeah, girl, we're gonna go full influencer mode. I'll send pics from the yacht." "Yacht?" I paused but didn't say anything. Maybe I was being paranoid. Maybe I was just tired. When I dropped her at the airport, she barely hugged me goodbye. "Don't work too hard," she said, already pulling up Spotify as she walked toward security. And then she was gone. Out of my sight, out of my hands, and for the first time, I realized I had no idea what she was actually doing on that trip. I'd find out soon enough. 2 days into Rachel's trip, the apartment felt unfamiliar, quiet in a way that wasn't peaceful, just empty. I tried to distract myself with work, but my mind kept drifting back to her. I told myself she was just busy having fun, that everything was fine, that I was overthinking. But late one night, while transferring files from my old laptop to my new one, something strange popped up. Rachel's iMessage account was still synced. I didn't even know it was possible. And I swear, for a full minute, I just stared at the notification, my chest tightening. A message preview appeared: "He booked the boat for tomorrow. Wear something white." My hand hovered over the trackpad. I knew opening it would change everything. I knew once I saw more, I couldn't unsee it. But curiosity and fear twisted together until I clicked. The thread opened. Photos. Videos. Voice notes. All from a guy I'd never heard of, tall, tan, all smiles, arms wrapped around her waist in ways she never let me do anymore. The pictures weren't subtle either. Her in a bikini on a yacht. Her kissing his cheek at sunset. Her lying on a hotel bed, saying, "He takes care of everything." It's refreshing. Then the text that hit me like a punch to the throat. My boyfriend? He's sweet but safe. Predictable. He'll never be more than what he is. I need someone who can elevate me. Elevate me. I reread those words again and again until they blurred. My entire body felt cold, like the ground under me shifted and dropped. I wasn't angry, not yet. Just numb. Like I'd been living in a movie where everyone knew the plot except me. I didn't confront her. I didn't call. I didn't text. I just quietly selected every message, every photo, and emailed them to myself, proof I didn't want but suddenly needed. Because deep down, I knew this wasn't just a misunderstanding. This was the beginning of something much darker, and I had no idea how far it was about to go. Rachel came back from Tulum looking like she stepped out of a travel magazine. Sun-kissed skin, new designer sandals, layered gold necklaces I hadn't seen before. She didn't even seem surprised when I picked her up from the airport, just tossed her bag in the back seat and said, "Let's grab sushi." My treat. I missed real food. I tried to read her face, listen for guilt, but she was perfectly composed. Almost bored. At dinner, she scrolled through her phone between bites, barely making eye contact. I asked her how the trip went, and she just shrugged. Fine. Relaxing. I needed it. Then she set her chopsticks down and looked me dead in the eyes. "Listen, I think we should take a break," she said flatly. Not a bad breakup or anything. Just time apart. I've been feeling like I need space to grow. You've been amazing, but I'm in a different headspace now. I didn't say anything. My jaw clenched. My hands went cold. She reached for her miso soup like nothing happened. "You know I still care about you. I just need different energy around me. More ambition. More freedom. We're too comfortable, and I'm outgrowing that." When I finally spoke, I asked quietly, "What about everything I've done for you? The rent, the bills, the trip?" She laughed. Laughed. "You offered. That's on you. You said you wanted to support me, remember? You can't guilt me now because you regret it." That was the moment something snapped, not in an angry way, but like a switch. A cold, calm realization settled over me. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I just nodded, stared down at my untouched plate, and said, "Got it." She smiled, as if she'd dodged something heavy. But what she didn't realize, what she never saw coming, was that I was already gathering everything she thought she got away with. And I wasn't going to let it go. For the first few days after the breakup, I barely existed. I went to work like a robot, came home, and sat in the dark. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just felt hollow, like something had been surgically removed from my chest without anesthetic. Friends texted. I ignored them. Food didn't taste like anything. Music just sounded like noise. I kept replaying her laugh at dinner. The way she dismissed me like an expired coupon. The way she said she needed different energy, as if I'd been dragging her down while funding her lifestyle. One night, I found myself sitting on the floor of our closet, staring at all the receipts I still had, digital and physical. My name on the car lease. My Amazon account with every purchase. My card charged for her phone, her laptop, her fake designer bags, her skincare routines, the Airbnb she used in Tulum. It hit me, she never actually paid for anything. Not the furniture. Not the Wi-Fi. Not even the damn Netflix password. I wasn't just used. I was financially drained by someone who never planned to stay. And that broke something in me. But not in the way she expected. I didn't text her. I didn't block her. I didn't go on social media and vent. Instead, I pulled up every transaction, took screenshots, printed bank statements, and sorted everything by item, amount, and purchase date. I made folders. I created a timeline. I listed ownership records. Because if she thought walking away meant she got to keep everything, she had no idea who she was dealing with. I'd hit rock bottom already. But something new was building inside me, something colder, sharper, more focused. I wasn't planning revenge. I was planning a reclamation. And it was only just beginning. I wasn't interested in petty revenge, I wanted justice. And more than that, I wanted clarity. So I called up a friend from college, Devin, who had just passed the bar. We hadn't talked in a while, but when I explained what happened, he didn't even hesitate. "Meet me tomorrow," he said. "Bring everything." I showed up with a folder stuffed with receipts, screenshots, and digital statements. Devin sat across from me at his tiny apartment kitchen table, flipping through pages like a detective. "Damn," he muttered. "She really thought she covered her tracks, huh?" What surprised me was how easy it was. Legally, I still owned the car, title in my name. The laptop she used to apply for freelance jobs? Bought under my account. Even the phone plan and the iPad she flaunted on vacation were under contracts that had me listed as primary. She hadn't transferred anything. No name changes. No separate purchases. She assumed, like most people do, that love equals surrender. Devin leaned back and grinned. "You've got more leverage than you think. And you've got proof. Send her a polite message, friendly, legal sounding. Give her a chance to return everything. If she refuses, we file for recovery of assets and civil debt repayment. Small claims court eats this up." My heart pounded as he said it. It wasn't about hurting her, it was about reclaiming my dignity, my money, my power. I spent that night sending emails. Not angry ones, just calm, detailed requests for the return of all property still legally mine. No insults. No threats. Just facts, timestamped and documented. Then I logged into our shared streaming services and changed every password. Disabled her phone line. Paused her music subscription. Not out of spite. Out of principle. She thought I was the quiet, predictable guy she could walk over. She had no idea I'd be the one drawing the line she couldn't cross. A few days after sending those emails, I got a message on Instagram from a guy named Jeremy. I didn't recognize the name, but the profile photo made my stomach twist. It was the same guy from the beach photos. Shirtless. Tanned. Arm around Rachel. His message was short. "Hey, man. We need to talk. I think we've both been lied to." Part of me wanted to ignore it. But curiosity got the better of me. We met at a coffee shop the next day, neutral ground, midday, public enough to keep things civil. He walked in wearing designer sunglasses and some overpriced sneakers. I expected tension. But his face wasn't smug, it was confused. "She told me you two broke up last year," he said as we sat down. "Said you were an obsessive ex who couldn't let go." I stared at him, stunned. "She was living in my apartment a week ago." His eyes widened. "She said she was crashing with a cousin. She said you stalked her." I pulled out my phone and opened the folder labeled Rachel Lies. Photos. Bank statements. Messages. I slid the phone across the table. Jeremy scrolled through silently, his face changing with every swipe. "She said she was paying for everything herself," he muttered, disgusted. "She used my card for that yacht rental. She told me she had to cover for a friend." We sat there for nearly an hour, trading notes like war veterans comparing scars. Different lies, same pattern. She had manipulated us both, played the victim to him, played the provider card with me. "I thought I was the upgrade," he said finally, shaking his head. "But now I feel like the next fool in line." For the first time in weeks, I didn't feel alone. We weren't enemies. We were co-survivors of the same hurricane. And that changed everything. After meeting Jeremy, everything clicked into place. Her lies weren't impulsive, they were rehearsed. Calculated. She didn't just use me. She harvested me. And now, she was harvesting him too. But what she didn't count on was us comparing notes. I waited until she was out for brunch. Jeremy confirmed it via a friend's story and then filed the tow order for the car. I still had the spare key and legal ownership. When the truck rolled up outside her apartment, I stood across the street, watching it get hooked and lifted like a scene in a movie. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I just filmed it for documentation. 3 hours later, my phone exploded with calls. Then came the text. What the F*******? Where's my car? I replied simply. It's not your car. It never was. After that, I disabled the phone I was paying for. Remotely locked the MacBook. Logged her out of every app. I changed passwords. Recovered devices. Shut down the cloud drive she used for her portfolio. One by one, the things she took for granted stopped working. She spiraled online, posting cryptic stories like, "Some people are just bitter and insecure." Her friends messaged me, asking why I was being petty. I sent them PDFs of receipts, with zero commentary. And slowly, the silence began. I wasn't trying to ruin her life, I just took back what she never earned. For so long, I'd let her shape the narrative. That I was the clingy one. The boring one. The safe option. But now, she was the one scrambling. And me? I was finally in control of a story she thought she'd already finished writing. And I wasn't done. Not even close. Weeks passed, and Rachel was spiraling in ways I could almost watch like a slow-motion train wreck. Her Instagram posts, once carefully curated, now felt frantic, vague captions, designer bags half-tagged, smiles that didn't reach her eyes. I could see the tension in every story she uploaded, every filtered photo, every "I'm fine" comment she left on friends' posts. And yet, I stayed silent. I didn't post. I didn't confront. I just let the evidence speak for itself. Then I made my move. I wrote a detailed Reddit-style post anonymously, of course, laying out the timeline, the expenses, the betrayal, and screenshots of receipts and messages. I didn't embellish. I didn't exaggerate. I just told the truth, raw and unfiltered. And the response was immediate. Comments poured in, shock, anger, empathy. Hundreds, then thousands of people sharing similar experiences, tagging friends, and advising caution. The post went viral faster than I expected, a storm of validation for the months of emotional and financial abuse I'd endured. The real kicker? Mutual friends started piecing it together. They began messaging me, asking if it was really true. They had noticed Rachel's behavior for months but didn't know the full story. And Jeremy, bless him, forwarded the post to her new social circle. Doors she thought were open started closing. Invitations evaporated. Gossip traveled fast. The very world she flaunted herself in began questioning her. Rachel tried reaching out. Her tone shifted from feigned innocence to desperate threats. "You can't post that. It's private," she typed. I didn't respond. I had every receipt archived, every message logged. There was no room for manipulation now. For the first time in months, I felt a strange calm. The air seemed lighter. The apartment, once filled with tension and betrayal, was quiet. The weight I'd carried, the endless guilt of providing for someone who never appreciated it, was lifting. She thought she could walk away with everything. Little did she know, the narrative was finally mine. And the storm was just beginning to settle. After the Reddit post went viral, I realized something important: closure wasn't about her. It wasn't about seeing Rachel embarrassed or watching her scramble to explain herself. It wasn't even about getting every cent, every device, or every ounce of control back. Closure was about reclaiming myself, my dignity, my boundaries, my peace. I didn't want revenge. I wanted restoration. The car was back in my garage, gleaming under the afternoon sun like a silent testament. The laptop, iPad, and phone all returned or secured under my name. More importantly, my bank accounts were intact, untouched, and I finally felt like I was in charge of my own life again. I reconnected with friends I'd ignored while obsessively covering for her. I started cooking again, playing my music loud, walking through the city streets without anxiety tightening my chest. One evening, I sat down with a cup of black coffee, flipping through the receipts and screenshots I'd meticulously organized. I remembered every sacrifice, every skipped opportunity, every night I spent working late so she could focus on her future. I thought about confronting her online, posting every detail, tagging her for the world to see, but I didn't. I didn't need to. She already knew the truth. I started laughing quietly to myself, the kind of laugh that comes from surviving something you weren't sure you could. Not loud, not obnoxious, just a deep exhale into freedom. I realized I'd grown stronger through every manipulation, every lie, every betrayal. The worst part? I actually felt proud of how calm I'd been throughout, how methodical, how unshakable. Rachel's attempts to contact me dried up. Her social media presence became erratic, and friends began distancing themselves from her. I didn't follow her anymore. I didn't need to. For the first time in months, I wasn't thinking about her at all. I was thinking about me. And the life I was finally ready to live, on my terms. But little did I know, the final ripple effect of her lies was about to catch up in ways I hadn't expected. Months later, I started hearing things through mutual friends and Jeremy, things I hadn't expected. Rachel's world was quietly unraveling. Her new relationship with Jeremy ended after he discovered her lies about both of us. She'd told him she was single, that her breakup with me was messy and dramatic, but when he realized the truth, he left. Fast. No fight, no begging, just silence. And suddenly, the girl who had walked away from me with a smirk was being confronted by the consequences she had ignored. She lost a freelance contract when her client discovered the digital footprint proving she'd misrepresented her work, much of it funded by me. Friends she'd relied on for validation began avoiding her calls and texts. Invitations she had bragged about vanished. Every time I heard an update, I felt a strange mix of vindication and distance. I wasn't celebrating her downfall, I was simply observing the natural consequences of her actions. Karma, slow and inevitable, had caught up. Then came the one message that stopped me in my tracks, a text from Rachel herself. "You really ruined me, didn't you?" I stared at it for a long time, my thumb hovering over the screen. I didn't reply. There was nothing to say. I hadn't ruined her. She'd done that all on her own. I had only held her accountable. The sense of calm that came over me was profound. For the first time, I realized the emotional weight I had carried, the exhaustion, the sleepless nights, the financial strain, was lifted. I could breathe again. I didn't need to fight her anymore. The world had done it for me. Friends and co-workers who had doubted me initially now looked at me differently. Some even apologized for not believing me sooner. And Jeremy? He reached out one last time to thank me for being honest and patient, for not dragging him into a mess of confrontation, and for giving him clarity. Rachel's collapse wasn't dramatic or public in the way I imagined. It was quiet, slow, and entirely deserved. And for me, that silence was far more satisfying than any spectacle of revenge could have been. I leaned back in my chair, letting it sink in. The storm had passed. And I finally felt free. I remember the first morning I woke up without her name, her lies, or her debts weighing on me. The sunlight streamed through the blinds, warm and unassuming, and for the first time in years, I felt a sense of peace that didn't come with guilt or tension. I was finally in control of my life, my finances, my choices, my future. I realized the breakup, the betrayal, and the months of planning to reclaim what was mine had taught me something far more valuable than revenge: self-respect. I started rebuilding my routine around myself. I reconnected with old friends, some I had pushed aside in my obsessive need to provide. I treated myself to the small things I had denied: morning coffee on the balcony, long walks with no destination, books I had wanted to read for years. And slowly, I opened my heart to the possibility of love again, but this time with boundaries, honesty, and mutual respect. Financially, I was secure. Emotionally, I was resilient. Mentally, I had sharpened a sense of clarity that I never thought possible. I even started mentoring a few friends and younger coworkers, helping them recognize signs of manipulation and teaching them to protect themselves. Sharing my story felt empowering. I wasn't bitter, I was a living example of how to survive betrayal with integrity intact. Rachel's attempts at contact came sporadically, desperate and filled with excuses, but I ignored them all. She no longer held any power over my emotions or my future. I didn't need closure from her, I had created my own. I realized that love, trust, and loyalty should never be taken for granted, and that sometimes, letting go and standing firm is the strongest statement you can make. As I walked through the city one evening, the crisp air filling my lungs, I smiled to myself. She had thought I was weak for loving her. She never imagined I'd be strong enough to walk away, reclaim what was mine, and emerge not just unbroken, but empowered. And for the first time in years, I truly felt like I was free.